the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic trick. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Dally M medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. It's Monday, so you know what that means. We are on wrap-up duty, covering all of the games from round 2 of the NRL Telstra Premiership season. We know how long these podcasts go for, so I'm not going to sort of waste any more time with this one. We're just going to get straight into it. So, the first game of the round, as we all know, was the Broncos and the Rabbitohs. Of course, the Broncos coming away 28-18 victors in this one. But honestly, it was a pretty ugly start from both sides in this one. There was just so many soft errors and just lapses in concentration, especially from teams that, you know, we expect big things from this season. I guess particularly the Broncos, everyone expects them to at least be a top 8 side. Rabbitohs are a bit more of an unknown. They're an enigma, I suppose. They obviously had the capitulation of 2023, so who knows if they're going to make the top 8, but with the class in their side, you'd expect a better performance. But no, that first half, it was honestly a bit difficult to watch. It was really, really poor. Both teams are really lucky that with all of the errors and penalties and everything that they gave away, neither of their opponents made them pay for them. It was just, I don't know, it was a slog of a watch, that first half. But yeah, no, every single set was just an error, penalty. I think the Broncos, I remember looking down at the halftime stats, and they had 8 errors and 58% completion rate at halftime, and the Rabbitohs had something like 9 errors and 55% completion rate. That's genuinely, it's abysmal. It is not NRL standard. So yeah, look, definitely a slog of a first half, but it did improve. I thought the second half was a lot better, and it ended up being, a decent game to watch. Not the best of the round, but there was a lot of good performances this round that we'll get into. But I guess the big thing to take away from that first half, if you're a Brisbane fan, was their defence. I thought was really, really good. Obviously, it's easier to defend a team when they're dropping the ball every set like the Rabbitohs were. But, there were a lot of times that the Brisbane were parked on their line and they just kept coming up with really good plays in defence. So, there was at least one positive to sort of take out of it if you're a Brisbane fan, not so much if you're a Rabbitohs. But we'll move into more of the game itself. Firstly, the first thing I sort of noted down when watching this game was the hit from Cameron Murray on Paddy Carrigan. I just think it's a shame that we've gotten to a stage in our game that's being penalised. He just belted him, lifted him up, dropped him on the ground, never went past the horizontal, and, penalty blown. So I thought that was a shame because it's a great tackle. That's perfect form, and that's what you want to see. And it was cool because it was the two of our premier lock forwards of our game going at it, and, penalty blown. Here you go, Broncos, have the ball back. Bit shame, but oh well. I just thought I wanted to sort of just point that one out there just because, as I said, it's just a shame that we've got to a stage in our game where that's a penalty because it's a bloody good tackle in my eyes. But moving on a bit more into the standout performance of this one, I thought Corey Jensen for the Broncos, I thought he started the game absolutely on fire. He was taking essentially 2-3 hit-ups every bloody set. He was playing really, really well. I love to see that from him. And I'm just really happy that he's found his footing in this Broncos side. Sort of just, I wouldn't say a journeyman because I'm pretty sure he's only been at the 2 clubs with the Cowboys and the Broncos, but never really cemented himself. Broncos brought him across, and then all of a sudden they saw something in him that no one else did, and they've made him just such an integral part of their side. And I really like that because when you're putting in performance like you are in this game, and he does it consistency. He's just a really good front rower for him. When you've got Payne Haas, you don't need someone else to be the best in the world. But what Corey Jensen brings is consistency. He hits hard in defence. He rarely misses tackles, and he runs it hard. He was poking his nose through the line on multiple occasions in this game. So, really just good for the Broncos to have a player like him putting in consistent performances week in and week out. So, really like to see that from Corey Jensen. Look, I'll get straight into the man of the moment for this Broncos team, but it has to be Reece Walsh. I thought, look, he's just a superstar. He really is. I can't believe that last year we're all sitting there and he had, if it wasn't for Kalen Ponga's incredible back end of the year where he, took home a Dally M, I thought Reece Walsh was the best fullback in the NRL last year. And we've always sort of known that he had that superstar quality in him. But could he really get much better than what he did in 2023? I don't know. Here he is. He's doing it 2 rounds in, and it's just ridiculous what he can achieve. And it's ridiculous the bearing he has on this team, on this Broncos side, and just honestly on the league as a whole. You can't deny what he brings to the game, how many fans he brings, especially in, female markets as well. He's, as I said, love him or hate him, you can't deny it. Our game is so much better for having him in it. Let's be real here. And back on this game, he's just, what a performance. His agility and acceleration, it's actually mind-blowing. I've never seen a player that can just move as well as he does, and as well as he was in this game. It just allows him to create something from nothing, just as he did in that first try where he just dazzled the entire defense and just went over for a brilliant solo effort, I suppose. He's just, absolute freak. But, won't spend too much more on him. I'm sure every single week I will be wrapping him to the absolute heavens. He's just, freak, absolute freak. But moving on from Reece Walsh, we will go into the Broncos centres. Both of them, Katoni Staggs, Selwyn Cobbo, thought they had absolute blinders in this game. They gave their opposing centres an absolute bath in defence. But what I was most impressed with their performances, I thought they just defended really, really stoically as well. I think the interesting part about both their games and this one is they seemingly fired their shots in 2 different halves. I thought Katoni Staggs in that first half was really, really good. He came up with some great plays and great attacking moments, had the good line break earlier. I think he threw if I remember correctly, he threw a pretty poor pass off the back of that line break, but He was just in the right positions, as I said, defended really well as well. While in the second half, it was Selwyn Cobbo who really took over the game. He, in particular, out of the 2, I thought he was really, really good. I thought it was tremendous. Took 18 runs for 181 metres, 2 line breaks, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 8 tackle breaks, so that's bloody good knock there. Couple of offloads and 20 tackles for only the 1 miss. So, bloody good game from Selwyn Cobbo. I haven't sat down and completely knuckled out what my team of the week is going to be for this week. If you want to see that, by the way, that's going to be content that's on the Instagram, so check that out. But without thinking too hard about what it's going to be, I have a feeling he might sneak his way into one of the centre positions for my team of the week this week. Just an incredible game from Selwyn Cobbo. Moving on, Paddy Carrigan, my lord, my saviour. I love him. He's a stud. He's a stud. He is. He's just so relentless in his work ethic. He's one of my favourite players in the competition. I remember, it's a bit of a story time, but when he sort of came into the league, I was just watching him in his gorgeous little play style when he had this sort of shorter hair. It would have been about 2019. I was sitting there with mum and dad, and I just pointed him out to mum. I'm like, watch this young fella. I say young fella, he's older than me. But watch this guy here. You'll notice him. He'll be in every single tackle. And sure enough, he was. And then the next week, I wasn't there. Mum watched it, and she's like, I watched him again. He was in every single tackle. I'm like, yep, it's Patrick Carrigan. And here he is. So, absolutely love him. But in terms of his stats for the game, we've got 23 runs, 222 metres, 2 offloads, 38 tackles. He's a gun. He's so good. I can't believe, talking about standout performers, well, not standout performers as such, but talking about the team of the week that I'm about to do after this, I don't think he's going to get a look in, to be honest. There were some incredible lock forward duels and lock forward performances this round. And when you're putting up meters like 23 runs, 222 meters, etc., how you don't get included in that, It's beyond me, but no, it doesn't take anything away from his performance in this game. I thought he was incredible. He also did those numbers with like 0 line breaks and 0 tackle breaks. So it was all from hard work and hit-ups. That's why he's the GOAT. That's why he is a GOAT. He's just a workhorse, Paddy Carrigan. But we'll move on. Another guy who I don't think I mentioned him in my first roundup podcast, but it's Payne Haas. And honestly, I think the reason why I didn't mention him and why I almost glossed over him again in this one is because it's come to a stage where what Payne Haas does week in, week out is just, it's so common that it does just get glossed over, and I'm guilty of it. And I think a lot of other people are guilty of it as well. He's just undoubtedly the best front rower in our game. And yeah, he's putting up these ridiculous stats, but it's so consistent that it's like, oh, yep, that's just another typical game from Payne Haas. But I think the reason I wanted to sort of give him his dues in this one was when he came back onto the field for his second stint. I thought he just completely changed the game for the Broncos. I thought the Rabbitohs were getting a bit of a roll on, getting a bit of momentum sort of through the middle. And then as soon as, Payne Haas came on, he swung that momentum back in the favour of the Broncos with his carries. Looking at his stats now, ran for 186 metres from 19 runs, broke 5 tackles and made 24 tackles without a miss in only 56 minutes of game time for him as well. He's usually playing a lot more than that, but you don't need to. I guess you don't need to when you're already winning games like this, but no. Incredible stuff. He really is just the best, and I don't know if we will see another front rower like him in our game. So let's appreciate him while we've got him. Just incredible stuff from Payne Haas. Beyond that, I thought Fletcher Baker looked really good off the bench for the Broncos as well. He ran for just under 100 metres in only 24 minutes. I thought Brandon Piakura looked good, and I thought both Broncos wingers actually had a few really good attacking moments whenever they had opportunities. I think they combined for 4 try contributions between them. So that's really, really good stuff. They're really exciting players. I'd like to see them both get more involved. I think let's just have a look at those stats there. But it wasn't too many runs between them. I guess it's fine when you've got, your centers doing a lot of the work. But I would like, especially last week when Jesse Arthurs had that incredible work ethic, I'd like to see that a bit more frequently. Where are we? Player stats, Broncos, Jesse Arthurs, 10 runs for 83 metres, Dean Mariner, 11 runs for 94 metres. So not the best there. As I said, you can't fault them too much. They still were quite electric, and I think Arthurs came up with a try and a try assist, and Dean Mariner had the 2 tries. So you're doing your job as a winger, but if they can become more involved, then these sort of magic moments that they can accumulate they'll come more frequently, and it will just, I guess push the Broncos into a even better stead. But no, can't fault them too much. Honestly, I just thought the entire Broncos team was really superb in that second half. They couldn't put too much of a foot wrong. So, it was a great performance all around from them. There's a lot of standout performers that I didn't quite mention. But everyone in that Broncos team, particularly in that second half, can really hold their heads high. They all played really, really well. As for the Rabbitohs, I absolutely loved what I saw from Saliva Havili in this game, which sure enough is no shock. I think it was probably the best performance of his career, at least, a performance that I can remember from him in a long, long time. He was just running really hard, poked his nose through the line on multiple occasions, to be honest. It wasn't just the once or twice or the once for that try. He was making a few efforts there. And then, of course, he did score that try to get them back into the game. And then, not 3 minutes later, he comes up with the try assist to Davey Moale, putting him through a soft hand. So, what a really good game from Saliva Havili. Scary to sort of think what the scoreboard would have looked like if he wasn't on the field, considering he conjured 2 of their tries single-handedly, essentially. So it could have been a really, really ugly performance for the Rabbitohs if Saliva Havili wasn't playing for them. But he was, and he played well. So we'll move on from that. But just one of the best games of his career. So good stuff from Havili. I thought Latrell, he had some really good moments. I thought the best part about Latrell's game in this one was that he honestly just kept himself alive the entire game. just kept trying to conjure opportunities, which was really nice to see. Looking across the stats, he actually topped the meters count for the Bunnies with 171 as well, which I'm not sure I've actually ever seen Latrell top the meters count for the Rabbitohs. At least it's not something that's a notable thing that happens week in, week out. So that was really good to see. Just goes to sort of show the effort that he had in this one, which is what I've been asking from Latrell for a long, long time. And of course, he came up with that great solo try right at the death. The game was already over, sure, but still showed how much of a freak he is. And I believe that was his 100th try in the NRL as well. So that's a pretty special achievement for Latrell. There's a lot being said about his post-game interview. I actually didn't catch it. I turned the TV off right after the game. But apparently a fair few F-bombs, and NRL's requested a urgent meeting with him to discuss that that's not good enough. Fair enough. I'm not going to comment too much on it. But yeah, definitely not what we want to see, especially on live television. But in terms of his game, yeah, definitely was one of the Rabbitohs' best. So I can't really fault him too much for that. Other standouts, I thought Tane Milne, I thought he was really good coming out of his own end. I think he was, there you go, second only to Latrell in metres. He actually took 20 runs, only made, 162 metres is a bloody good knock. But yeah, 20 runs. Thought he just brought a really good energy to the Rabbitohs around the middle. But other than that, unfortunately, there weren't too many standouts for the Rabbitohs. They made way too many errors and just missed too many tackles. The Broncos just rolled them straight up the middle in that second half. And I think, the only Rabbitohs forward to run for over 100 metres was Tavita Totola with 118. And actually, let's have a quick look at their missed tackles, because I know they missed a lot. Where are we? There, yeah. So only 3 players in their entire team did not miss a tackle, and that's Cody Walker, Keon Koloamatangi, and Shaq Mitchell. So everybody else missed at least one tackle, which is just not good enough. You can't be doing that in NRL standard, especially not to a team as amazing as the Brisbane Broncos. And look, they've got the grudge match against the Sydney Roosters next week, so it's gonna get tougher before it gets easier for the Rabbitohs. I'm quite worried about them, to be honest, but we'll have to see. They normally get up for that one, so let's hope they can get themselves on the board in 2023 after that clash. But we will move on to the next game of the round, which of course was the Sharkies and the Bulldogs. This one ending 25-6 in favour of the Sharkies. If you look at it purely from a scoreboard perspective, it's sort of the exact performance we expected, or at least what I expected from this game. Sharkies getting away pretty convincing winners in this one. But if you watch the game, it was nothing like what the scoreboard suggested. I think halftime was 6-all, I believe. And the Bulldogs, they really turned up for this one. They were actually quite good. It was just sort of late in that second half that the Sharks just started pulling away, and they gassed that Bulldogs team, who of course are still sort of missing middle forwards, and, we'll get right into it, but it was a real shame with, how the game started. Pawasa Farmasili coming off the back fence, running it up and clashing heads with Cameron McInnes, and he went off for a head knock. HIA missed the rest of the game, and he'll now enter the 11-day stand-down policy, which I think's probably going to be the best thing for him. He did not look good after that. But yeah, when you've got one of your starting front rowers taking one run, losing the ball, knocking themselves out, and then they're off for the rest of the game, you're going to find it quite difficult to cope in the middle, especially when you verse a team like the Sharkies, who just have so much depth in that forward pack. They can just constantly rotate, constantly keep their players fresh, and you're out there as the Bulldogs and you're struggling because you're already a man down, you're already light in that position. It's just really tough old gig for the Bulldogs. But no, I thought they were actually quite admirable in how they played in this one. It's just, unlucky that how Pawasa started. I think the last man I'd want to clash heads with is Cameron McInnes. Somehow he just comes out of everything, gets another cut, gets another knock, breaks something, breaks this, and he just soldiers on. McInnes. He's a warrior. But no, unfortunate for Farmasili in that one. But we may as well keep going with the sort of doggies now that we've started on them. Thought Matt Burton and Viliami Kikau started the game really well for the Doggies. Thought neither of them were really afraid to run the ball, and it led to Kikau crossing off that Matt Burton offload about 7 or 8 minutes into the contest. Now, I want to touch on this one a bit more because obviously this try was called back after the referee put it up to the bunker. I don't think he even said try or no try. He just said, video referee, bunker, take a look at this for a mutual infringement, deeming that he had potentially denied the Sharks a chance to defend the line or to defend the try because he got in the way of the last line of defence, which was Braden Trindle. Now, look, I do think it probably should have still been a try anyway because I don't think anyone was going to be able to stop Viliami Kikau from that close to the line and running that hard. But I just wanted to, point this out because I want to applaud the referee whose name I looked at and cannot pronounce. First name Ziggy. I just wanted to applaud him for that. I've never actually seen that been called before or that ever go up when you're calling yourself out saying, look, I potentially have stuffed up and denied a try here just from my positioning on the field. And for someone to do that live on TV, it shows like there's not a lot of ego in that. I think a lot of other referees would have just been like, yeah, tough shit. I'm just doing my job as a referee. You should have got past me. But no, he caught himself out, let his ego go and was like, look, referees, take a look. I might have stuffed this up. And, the referees ended up calling the try. Well, the video referees called the try back. And then they had to rerun the play again. Bulldogs ended up not scoring from that set, which is tough on them. But no, it's no fault to the Sharkies and it's no fault to the Bulldogs. It's just a tough old gig. But yeah, I just wanted to give I guess a bit of a shout out to Ziggy, the main referee for that call. I thought, showed an incredible lack of ego to do that. And it was the right thing to do. So, if you want to blame anyone, blame the video referees for saying it's a no try. If I was the video referees, I would have been like, yeah, look, unlucky for the referee to be in the wrong spot, but nobody's stopping that try. But regardless, we will move on past that. I honestly just really liked the shapes that the Bulldogs were throwing at the Sharkies in that first half. I thought they had really good energy. They were running the ball really hard, and they were playing pretty expansive footy. They weren't afraid to throw the ball around at all. But in particular, their structure, their lead-up work into the Blake Wilson try. Again, I think I said the exact same thing. You can copy-paste what I said last week, but I'm pretty sure I said this exact same thing last week. Really, looks really good. So, I've been pretty harsh on the Bulldogs early this season, coming into preseason, coming into the season. Been pretty harsh. They could get the wooden spoon. I don't know. But, there's some really good signs there. And if you stay patient, if you're a Bulldogs fan, just stay patient. There's a lot to like, and they can only improve as the season goes on. So I just wanted to shout out the Bulldogs for that one, just for their attacking structures and the way that they played. Apologies for the cut just there. Didn't want to bless your ears with a sneeze into the microphone. But where were we? Well, we've just mentioned, Wilson, but so I may as well sort of talk about the Bulldogs wingers. I want to give them a wrap. I think I wrapped them both last week. Of course, Kiraz ended up playing the majority of the game on the wing last week, but this time Wilson and Connor Tracy thought they were really, really good. They worked really hard out of their own end. Both wingers who are quite small. They're definitely not the biggest wingers, which is something that a lot of teams are sort of favouring in today's evolved game. But how Wilson and Connor Tracy presented themselves in this one, there's definitely a place for wingers like them. Of course, Wilson scored the opening try of the game. But yeah, just their work out of their own end was really, really good. I think Wilson, we've got here for 160 metres from 21 carries. And Connor Tracy, he pipped him by 1 whole metre, so 161 metres from 20 carries from Connor Tracy. So if you got your wingers making 20 runs a game, it's going to help make up for how light you are in that forward pack. So really liked their efforts in this one. Obviously, I mentioned him a bit earlier, but I thought this was one of Matt Burton's best games since coming into this Bulldogs team. He just let his running game finally take over, which is something that he's lacked a little bit. I think he's lacked a bit of confidence since he's come to the Bulldogs, but he looked really threatening every single time he did run the ball. And if he's to play like this every game, then the Bulldogs will manage to find a lot more wins than they have in the previous sort of few years for them. But yeah, finished here with 113 metres, 3 tackle breaks, and yeah, I thought he was still really good with his kicking game as well. So I thought he found a really good balance across the board in this one, did Matt Burton. I thought he was really, really good. Kick out, another one we mentioned earlier. Probably had his best game in Bulldogs colours, definitely up there with his best games. He was really, really damaging. And I think a lot of it comes down to just how he was being used. He wasn't just left out there to do nothing. They tried to find him, as they should, favour that left edge. You've got your attacking weapons there. It's going to be hard to stop players like Burton and Kickout, but they used him a lot more effectively in this one. He's actually the only Bulldogs forward to run for over 100 metres. He ended the game with 137. And yeah, 4 tackle breaks as well. Obviously, had that try taken away, so that could have made his numbers look even better, but that's all right. I don't think, tries, attacking stacks, they're always cool, but doesn't fully deem your performance good or bad. But no, I thought Viliami Kickout played really, really well for the Doggies in this one. As for the Sharkies, realistically, I thought everyone played really, really well for the Sharks in this one. The back 5 in particular, I was really, really impressed with. Looking over their numbers now, every single one of them ran for over 120 metres each, and they had 25 tackle breaks between them. So that's an average of 5. Yeah, 5 players, 25 tackle breaks. Yeah, averaging 5 tackle breaks between those 5 players. That's pretty bloody mental to look at. Pretty mental to think about. But I thought they were the difference makers in this game. They just came up with so many attacking raids and just attacking decisions that really you couldn't defend. I think there was the tries from Mulatalo and Katoa, the 2 try assists from Ramian and Talakai, and even Will Kennedy. I thought he was electric at the back. But I don't know what you meant to do to defend them. Like, Talakai got an arm free and pulled out one of the craziest offloads of... No, it wasn't Talakai. Sorry, Ramian pulled out that and got that offload to a try to Katoa. I think Talakai's try was that pretty dubious kick along the ground, which Mulatalo wrapped up. But, they were the people who scored the points for the Sharkies in this one. And if you're a Bulldogs fan, you're sitting there going, well, what are you meant to do? You can't really defend players like that. So, yeah, I thought they were really, really good across the board, all 5 of the back 5 for the Sharkies. Meanwhile, the forward pack, Teague Wilton, I thought he put in one of the best performances of his young career. He had 123 metres, 7 tackle breaks, which is pretty darn good. He had a line break assist, and a try assist. Oh, and of course, yeah, the try. Almost forgot about that one. So... yeah, one of the best performances of the week. Again, I'm going to have to sit down and look as to who's making my team of the week, but I don't know, with a performance like that, he definitely could find his way into the second row for that squad. But yeah, just a fantastic game from Teague Wilton. I also thought Tommy Hazelton, thought he was really, really good off the bench. He just keeps getting better and better, does Hazelton. I don't know what the Sharkies are actually going to do next year when they get AFB. And, they've also now re-signed Brayden Hamlin-Uele. They've just got so many middle forwards. I don't know who misses out, but you can't imagine someone like Tom Hazelton will miss out on this side when he keeps playing like this. And the way he's played since he came into first grade, realistically, he's been incredible. So I can't imagine, he'll miss out on that side next year with AFB. But yeah, just played really, really well in this one, did Hazelton. Who else really stood out to me? I love the duel between Talakai and Kiraz. I know I've sort of just wrapped Talakai into that whole back 5 spiel for the Sharkies, but he can have more of a mention here. He was just really, really good. And I really liked that it was the 2 meter-eating centres of their respective teams just going at it. Talakai obviously won the battle of the 2, but that's not to say Kiraz played poorly at all. Definitely did not. He's still, what he managed here, 146 metres, 5 tackle breaks. I thought he defended decently well on Siffer as well. I just don't know what you meant to do. I said it last week when Rocco Barry marked up against Siffer. I genuinely don't know what you meant to do against someone like him. But no, Siffer, I'll read out his stats here. He's ended up with 150 meters, 8 tackle breaks, which that's ridiculous. Line break, 3 line break assists, and yeah, technically he had that pretty dubious try assist, if that's what you want to call it, to Ronaldo Mulitalo. But no, he's started the season in incredible form, has Talakai. Probably the front runner for centre of the year so far, with just the way he's played. And lastly, for the Sharkies, you've got to mention Nico Hines. Fantastic game from him. He's honestly, he's just world class. He really is. The movement he had in the lead up to the Teague Wilton. No, it wasn't the Wilton try. Wilton made the break and then linked up with Braden Trindle, who ended up scoring that try. But no, the work from Hines in the lead up to that was genuinely, it was world class. The way he dug back in behind the ruck before stepping outwards, throwing the ball across the face of the Bulldogs defence into Wilton, superb. There's very few players in the competition who can do that, or not so much have the vision to do that, but just the balls and the guts to pull it off. Yeah, incredible stuff. We seem to forget that he's only into his 3rd season of halfback at NRL level, I suppose. So there's still so many improvements left in his game. So it's really scary to think how good he actually could be, leading the competition in the Dally M's at the moment, won it 2 seasons ago. He's 27, 28, so he's coming into the actual prime of his powers as a halfback, or in his body in general. I'm pretty sure 28 is about the best of your physical capabilities. So, yeah. Scary to see what he could do, and hopefully we get a few more years of him being this good, because this is ridiculous. Yeah, another fantastic game all around by Hines. It came up with a lot more great moments in defence, backing up what he did against the Warriors last week. I don't know, maybe he actually was worthy of 6 Dally M points this time as well. I'm not one to judge, but yeah, great game from Nico Hines. And lastly for this game, I just want to shout out the 2 main milestone men for this one. Dale Finucane chalking up 250 games in the NRL, which is such a great achievement. One of the nicest, hardest working players in our game, so there's no one more deserving than that. He played really well off the bench as well, did Finucane. 130 metres, 13 runs, so yeah, he'll look back on this one pretty fondly. On the other side of the spectrum, we had, I'm going to butcher the name, but we'll give it a go. We had Tuku Hau Tapua, who, made his NRL debut for the Sharkies as well in this game. And he looked really good in his limited game time in the middle. He only played 10 minutes, and he had 5 runs in that 10 minutes and 53 metres. So another one of those middle forwards that they can just keep adding to their stocks. And who knows, maybe he'll get a few more opportunities down the line, or at least find an opportunity with another club, because he looked really, really good. He's a monster of a human being, is Tapua. So yeah, really good stuff from them. But no, as I said, Bulldogs fans, keep your heads sort of high. This was not a bad performance at all. You can look at the scoreboard and say, yeah, tough old game, tough old week. Which, sure, you did only score 6 points, but there are a lot more positive signs in this one. And I think, they will chalk up a few more wins as the season progresses. Well, as a Sharkies fan, you've got to be pretty happy with, keeping a team to 6 points, especially after you kept the Warriors to 12 or something last week. So you've leaked a total of 18 points in the first 2 weeks of the competition. So Sharkies fans have got to be pretty happy with this one. But we will move on to probably my favourite game of the round, which was the Panthers and the Eels. This one going 26-18 in favour of the Penrith Panthers. As I said, probably favourite game of the round. It was just an incredible game of rugby league, to be honest. It's really what rugby league's all about. This was the epitome of everything that we just want to see in the game. It was constant just back and forth on the scoreboard. There was powerful hits in attack and defence. It was free flowing. The referee didn't put the whistle to their mouth or too often, which was really darn good. And the superstars of both of these teams provided the goods. So yeah, just one of the best games of footy you'll see. Just the epitome of what we want rugby league to be. I wrote down that I don't mind spending too much, a bit longer on this game to discuss it. But I've taken a lot longer than I thought I would with my first 2 wrap-ups than I should have. So I'm going to skip a bit more of the sort of just players and stuff that I've noted down, and just go to the ones that I want to talk about the most. But I do want to sort of say that it was pretty interesting to note the switch that the Panthers did in this one. Brian To'o and Sonia Taruva switching wing positions, switching sides of the field. So To'o ended up on the left, and obviously Taruva means he was on the right. I'd assume the reasoning behind the switch is probably just because they don't want their two least experienced backline players marking up next to each other in Taylor May and Taruva, but who knows? Like, there could be any number of reasons that they did that switch. Regardless, they won from it, so it worked. It did its job. But if you're a Supercoach fan, you might be a bit more happy with To'o finding his way to the left-hand side of the field. So definitely one to keep an eye on. But moving into the more player-based performances, if you will, let's get right in with the big dog of the league and of this game, Nathan Cleary. I thought he was terrific out there in this one. He's just in the prime of his powers right now. Looks so confident, so comfortable in his game. I just love the amount of touches he had in the lead up to their opening try. And of course, he was the main man to stab the kick through for Dylan Edwards to score their opening try. And believe that, and put the Panthers on the board for their first try of the Telstra Premiership season in 2024, because obviously they were kept scoreless last week. So, he got the first try assist of their entire season. So that was really good. I think he technically would have got a try assist for the Moses Leota try as well. I'm actually going to have a quick look at that one. But regardless of whether he did get that stat, probably not something that was really his work. That was more Moses Leota brilliance. So where are we? Just out of curiosity, I want to see that one. No, he didn't get that one. So that's good of the NRL to sort of just put that one down to Moses Leota brilliance and not so much Nathan Cleary's lead-up work just because he gave the last pass. But no, beyond his sort of try involvements, I thought he just controlled the game with his kicking game. The Parramatta wingers wanted absolutely nothing to do with his bombs or game. And he wasn't afraid to pull the pin as well and kick early in the kick early in the tackle count to turn the big Parramatta forwards around and have them retreat and try and get back on side and do a lot more work. So when you're seeing performances like that from your halfback, you have to sort of stand and applaud. And that's why he's the best player in our game. I still wholeheartedly believe that he is the best player in the NRL at the moment. Just, phenomenal, well-rounded performance from Nathan Cleary in this game. Moving on, we'll go straight to Moses Leota, who I just talked about very briefly. But what a fucking performance from him. Sorry, but I loved it. I'm sitting here laughing. I was genuinely up out of my chair, just screaming, "Oh my god, go Leota!" I didn't even want Panthers to win the game. I tipped the Eels in this one, but it's so good seeing a front rower in open space. He just the way it's not even just the way he just ran and scored that try. But for him he essentially caught the ball and put the step on Joey Lussick at the exact same time. And it's mental. Like, he genuinely froze Lussick. He was standing in his tracks, and the way, I don't know, it's a very difficult skill to be able to step while you're catching a ball. There's one thing to catch the ball and then think about your next movement, but he literally put the right foot step on while catching this ball. Lussick just got completely froze. He was seeing stars, and then he just raced away. So I really loved that from Moses Leota. It was bloody Reece Walsh-esque, the footwork from him. Nothing better than seeing a front row in open space. And beyond that, he just played a really good game in general, did Leota. So it wasn't just that try, but just a really well-rounded performance from him. But great to see. Love that stuff from Leota. I thought the forward pack battle in general was a real treat in this game, all the way down to just the bench players as well. Of course, James Fisher-Harris came off for the Panthers after about 25 minutes. He got steamrolled by Campbell Gillard, and then there's been a bit come out in the press conference. Basically, he was just losing power, losing feeling in his shoulder. So I'm not sure what the diagnosis is of that one. But in terms of this game, what that done was just it forced, the other Panthers players to play increased minutes and sort of step up in his absence. While, on the side of the Eels, the losses of Bailey Simonson and Kelma Tuolangi forced major reshuffles for their team. So Yeah, there was a lot of minutes to get around, and both forward packs or everybody left that wasn't injured, had to get through a lot more work in this game. And they did just that. So, yeah, for the Panthers, Leota punched out 147 metres from his 15 carries. Lindsay Smith ended up playing 46 minutes off the bench, and he ran for a tick over 100 metres as well. And Liam Henry, I thought he looked really, really impressive when he was on the field. He knocked out 107 metres from only 9 carries as well, and in only 32 minutes on the field. So really good stuff from their bench forwards especially. Meanwhile, for the Eels, RCG, I thought he was, running really, really powerfully all game in this one. Of course, the most notable of which being when he, flattened, what's his name? James Fisher-Harris, sorry. I was going to say RCG, but that's Regan Campbell-Gillard. When he steamrolled JFH, that was probably his biggest highlight of the game. According to the stats, he actually only ran for 83 metres, which, I could have sworn he made a lot more than that. He looked a lot more damaging on the field than what the stats suggest. But, I thought he looked good regardless. Meanwhile, Offa Hengawi made 106 metres in his 38 minutes on the field, and Paolo, in his new role off the bench, punched out a bloody good 155 metres from 15 carries, so averaging over 10 metres a carry there. Awesome stuff from them. But I just really enjoyed the forward pack duel in this one. Thought it was a really big entertainment factor, I suppose. Moving on, Kelma Talangi, I feel so bad for him. So for those of you who missed the game, Kelma Talangi ended up finding himself in the centres after Bailey Simonson went down quite early with concussion, I believe it was. So, Kelma Talangi, he was defending at that left centre position. And Isaac Tungo gave him an absolute bath the entire game. The Panthers did really well to identify that mismatch, and they just went to the right the entire game, realistically. So if you look at Tungo's stats here, what have we got? 6 line breaks, 273 metres from only 17 carries. So ridiculous. And 9 tackle breaks, a try assist, a try of his own. It was one of the best performances you'll ever see from a centre in the NRL. It was ridiculous. And I feel so bad for Kelma. You can't even realistically blame him. It's not like he was making really, really poor defensive reads. A lot of what was happening is he'd just get completely burnt, or just he couldn't match it with Tungo. And fair enough, like Tungo was an absolute weapon. But one of the best games of Tungo's career, and very unfortunate for Kelma Talangi. But no, it was a tough game for him. But I also want to give him a little bit of a shout out. He did come off injured, but the reason he came off injured, Talangi, is because he came up with easily the hit of the game and an early shout for tackle of the year when he absolutely railed Liam Martin. So if you didn't see that one, go back and watch it. Absolutely just lays out Liam Martin. Not an easy man to stop either. And I believe it ended up being a dislocated shoulder after that hit. So obviously went in pretty hard if you're going to dislocate your shoulder. But I want to give out a shout out to Kelma Talangi. Tough game, but what can you do? You have to work with what you got. Now, look, there was a few players I sort of left out of that forward pack chat that I just did a little bit earlier, because I thought they, probably deserved a little bit of their own segment, if you will. But Isaiah Yeo and Jermaine Hopgood, they were extraordinary. We'll just start with Yo, because it's honestly going to get boring how much I compliment this bloke every single week. But what a performance. He ended up playing the entire 80 minutes of a game that was just complete bash and barge through the middle. So I don't know how you can get through that playing 80 and looking completely unscathed. He just took it in stride. As I said, there's not too much I can say that I haven't already said about him. He's just the epitome of a leader. A lot of what he brings, it can't be measured in stats, but if we look over his stats now anyway, still managed 143 metres from 15 carries in, as I said, a game that was one of the tougher ones I've seen. He of course, also came up with that bloody perfect crossfield kick, which ended up being a try to, which one was it? Was it Taruva, I believe it was? Yeah, he kicked it over to the right. So Sunivia Taruva scored a nice little try literally off a crossfield kick from Isaiah Yeo, of all people. Really, really good one there. But the biggest part about this performance, listen to this, he made 56 tackles and he missed one. That is ridiculous. I don't know what to say. He's just a gun. He's still the best lock forward in rugby league, and there's no question about it. But we'll move on to his counterpart, Jaman Hopgood. Thought he was really, really impressive as well. He didn't quite play the full 80. Seeing here, he got himself a little 9-minute spell in that second half. So, only 71 minutes in a game as tough as that. But no, he played really, really well. 132 metres from Jaman, from only 13 carries as well. 4 tackle breaks, 43 tackles from him with only 1 miss. And he also had that line break and try as well. So bloody good knock from Jaman Hopgood. And it was probably one of my favourite duels of the entire weekend. These two just going at it. Incredible stuff. Loved what I saw from them. While we're sort of on the Eels now anyway, we'll continue moving on. I thought Dylan Brown, he was really, really good for them. He's so fit. He was just always the first player back. This is what I noticed first, was every time Cleary decided to make the forwards turn around and chase back off a kick, Dylan Brown was the first person to get back there because he's so fit. He just turns and runs and just makes it easier for him. And, even when he's the first person doing all that running, he still found that extra gear to chase after Isaac Tungo whenever he was making a break down the wing and try and cut him down for that one. Of course, he finished with a couple of a good try assists, some really silky touches. One of them to Sean Lane, especially. Loved that ball that he threw there. But it was mainly his off the ball efforts that I really appreciated. But no, fantastic game from Dylan Brown. One of the best 5/8 of the round without a doubt. And look, we'll finish off with the two fullbacks. I thought they were tremendous. They're not the flashiest fullbacks in our game, but they're probably, they're undoubtedly the hardest working fullbacks in our game. How Gutherson manages to be in the right position in attack and defence all the time is just crazy. He's so consistent. He diffused so many opportunities from the Panthers purely on his positional play and his effort. And then, he also wouldn't hesitate to back up all those efforts by taking some of the toughest runs you've ever seen out of your own half into the mouth of that Penrith forward pack. So, fantastic game from Gutho. He's one of my favourites to watch as well. I've said that a few times about a few different people in this podcast, but no, I really like what I see from Gutho. I always do. There's nothing that beats effort. Effort will beat talent 100% of the time. But moving on to his counterpart, Dylan Edwards, thought he actually was the better of the two in this game. I thought he was absolutely terrific. Scored that first try, as I said, off the Nathan Cleary kick, which means he's the first try scorer for the Penrith Panthers in 2024. He gets them onto the scorers table. But he backed that up with just consistent efforts from the back. Ran the ball 21 times for 248 metres, including 132 kick return metres. So, when you're doing that, you're already putting the whatever team you're versing on the back foot. So, love that from him. He also actually notched the try assist as well because he threw the final ball to Isaac Tungo when he went over. As I said, they're not the flashiest fullbacks in our game, but if you don't believe that these two are some of the most elite players and elite fullbacks in our game, then I don't know what to tell you. We need to stop pretending that fullbacks have to be these flashy dual players, because players like Clint Gutherson and Dylan Edwards, they have more than a place in our game. They are incredible. Look, as I said, I could wrap a lot more people. There's a few more that I've got sort of just jotted down that I was going to go into a bit more, but we've already spent so much time in this podcast, so I will move on to the next game, which of course was the Raiders and the Tigers. This one ending 32-12 in favour of the Canberra Raiders. And it was just a really, really good performance from the Raiders. We've all sat here and said that where are their points going to come from? Do they have that spark in their team? And honestly, to start this season, they look in some of the best attacking form that they have been in a long, long time. And that's, after the exits of Jack Whiten and et cetera. But no, you could tell his replacement in this one, Ethan Strange, just from his opening touch, I suppose, he was on. You could really just tell that he just looked so confident, especially compared to last week where he was a bit more reserved in his game. But in this one, he was looking to run. He was overcalling Fogarty whenever he sensed even a slight opportunity, and he wasn't afraid to take any sort of risks in attack. So these are the qualities that they usually take a fair few years to develop in a half, and he's shown them at 19 years of age and 4 games into his NRL career. So really, really exciting stuff, and exactly what you want to see from your players. I'd be so excited if I was a Canberra Raiders fan, because with this forward pack and when you've got your young fellas like this performing really well, and Mitch Henderson in the lower grades, shout out Mitch. Yeah, you've got to be really excited as a Raiders fan. I've loved what I've seen from them so far in 2024. But no, back to Strange. Yeah, just the way he was sort of moving, especially when he scored that first try, just the individual effort he did, scintillating to watch. It really was. So really, really good game from him on all fronts. But moving on, we'll go straight into Zach Hosking. Honestly, I'm going to continue to sing Zach Hosking's praises until the cows come home. I said last week that he's one of my favourite players to watch off the ball, particularly, in his defensive efforts and his movements. But he's just quickly developing into one of my favourite players in general. I absolutely love watching this bloke play. Such a weapon. You'd still assume that when Whitehead returns, he'll probably take that second row spot back, or at least minutes from Hosking. I'd assume with everything that they've talked about with Whitehead, he will slot back into that position. But I genuinely don't know how you can move Hosking out of it, because he has been not only the best second rower and the best forward for the Raiders, but he's been the best player for them since this season has started. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do, but it's a good headache to have if you're Ricky. But yeah, back on Hosking, just terrific defensively, came up with some really good runs as well. Like there was one in particular, they just absolutely showed a bit of footwork, a dynamic run up the middle, cutting the Tigers to absolute ribbons with that run. But yeah, came up with another big offload for a try assist, and yeah, scored another try from a kick. Simply amazing, just identical to last week, to be honest. But no, I'm just absolutely loving what I'm seeing from Zach Hosking. Moving on though, honestly, Jordan Rapana, maybe he is the fullback that the Raiders have been crying out for all this time. I thought he was bloody good in this one, as he was last week, to be honest. I didn't quite give him a mention last week, but yeah, thought he was really, really good again in this one. Didn't play the full 80. He came off, I think it was the head knock, despite being hit in the neck, I believe it was. But yeah, 143 metres from the back. Really nice tidy up work and defence as well, most notably when he cleaned up a Lockie Galvin, I think it was a Lockie Galvin grubber kick while just sliding along the ground to escape the in goal. So yeah, really good game from Jordan Rapana, and I'm really sort of liking how he's looking for the Raiders at fullback. He just brings so much energy for them, as he always has. Thought the Raiders props, Tarpany and Papali'i, thought they were really, really strong. Just across the board, I think they both averaged over 10 metres a carry. Tarpany making 163 metres from 16 carries, and Papali'i accumulating 139 from 13 of his own runs. So yeah, really, really good for them. They absolutely gave it to the Tigers middles, and they're a big reason that they got away to the early points was just the momentum that they created through the middle. Moving on, I really like the sort of the running battle between John Bateman and Hudson Young, the sort of the resident bulldogs, if you will, of these two, the resident dickheads. Let's call it how it is, the resident dickheads of their respective teams, and they just went at it all game. I really loved it as a fan, just watching these two completely go at each other. It was really, really fun. I thought Hudson Young's done a really good job of filling in Bateman's position at the Raiders since Bateman left. But yeah, it was really cool just seeing them verse each other in this one and just go at it. They weren't really afraid to get up in each other's face, and rugby league's better for it if we can see games like that and see battles like that. So really enjoyed that. But moving on, Tigers, look, honestly, I'm going to say how it is. They genuinely look like they didn't want to be there. They really didn't. That 20 minutes was some of the worst footy I've ever seen played. They just had no intent in defence. They never got up off the line to meet the attack. They just stood there and just watched the Raiders run 10 metres before contact. It was so poor to watch. It was only sort of when Pole, Fainu and Twal came on, they did mass changes around that 20-25 minute mark and got all three of those players on through the middle. that they, sort of started to wrestle the momentum back in their favour. In fact, there was probably a good 10, 15-minute period there where they were actually winning the battle of the middle for a good portion of the game. Or a good portion of that first half, I suppose. Maybe even the second quarter, if you want to call it that. Really, really poor signs from them. It's a lot of worries early, and it's not the stuff you want to see as a Tigers fan. You're meant to have a fresh start. You got Benji at the helm. You've got all this. You've got such a good team on paper, and then you come out and you play like that. So, yeah, definitely not the best start for the Tigers. But, look, into some positives, I thought the young rookie, Lockie Galvin, I thought he looked terrific on debut. He actually played as the dominant half like the entire game, despite the fact he's 18 years old and he was playing 5/8 instead of halfback. But he just took control out there, had a really good game, showed really good vision and like guys, I suppose, if you want to call it, to sort of link with Buller with an inside ball in the lead up to their first try. Of course, Buller then getting the offload of sorts to Samuel Afinu. But yeah, that was all off the back of Lockie Galvin's vision there. Also finished the game with 14 runs for 146 metres. That is an incredible knock. He's 18 years old, playing 5'8", and he's run for 146 metres. It's probably more than... give me a quick look. I reckon that's more than everyone in that entire Tigers pack. At least the pack. It could be more than everyone in the game. Quickly. Sorry, this is riveting content right now. All right, 146 metres. Yeah, more than every single player in their forward pack, and second in the game for the Tigers behind Jareem Buller. That's ridiculous. I feel so bad that his team just left him out there to dry, because he deserves so much better from them, and he conjured so many opportunities and he looked so good, and then the rest of the Tigers just sat there and twiddled their thumbs. So yeah, it pissed me off in a way. I'm upset. I'm not a Tigers fan at all, but yeah, when you have your rookie come in and perform like that, you should be getting on the back of him. But no, nothing was shown from the Tigers. Yeah, anyway, so we'll move on. I got a bit heated there for a minute, honestly. Api Coruscant, thought he was good. Just incredibly crafty around the ruck, as he always is. His role in the attacking structures that they're throwing at teams so far in 2024, despite, we've only seen one game for the Tigers, but he looks really important to their attacking structures, and he rarely makes a wrong decision. So, yeah, I'm sort of scared to think about what the Tigers team would have looked like without him in it. He, of course, combined for 8 of the Tigers' 12 points between a brilliant solo try that he scored himself and then 2 goals. There's the 8 points there. So, worrying signs as to what the Tigers would be like without him. Thought Dream Buller looked pretty good. As I said, ran for the most metres in the game. He just had a lot of touches, which is what you want to see from your young fullback. Excuse me, sorry. Couple of line break assists, and yeah, had the try assist, offload, flick pass, whatever the pass thing to Samuel Afinu, who scored his first try in the NRL. So yeah, shout out to Finu for that one as well. But yeah, I thought Buller was good. And lastly, for the Tigers, Isaiah Papali'i, I thought he had a pretty good game as well in a losing effort. Played the full 80, 115 metres he ran for, a few tackle breaks, 4 offloads and 32 tackles. It's pretty unlucky that one of his offloads didn't lead to a try as well, because threw one nearish to the end of the game to Charlie Staines, who was denied by a really good effort from Ethan Strange. So could have had a try assist to his name as well on those stats. But unfortunately, we can't shy away from it. Really poor performance. And in terms of some not so standout performances from the Tigers, I thought Jaden Sullivan and Stafford Toa were really, really poor in this game. It might be a bit harsh on Toa because he did leave the game early in the second half with an injury and did not return. But I thought when he was out there, he just didn't provide any spark whatsoever. And he was just, I don't know, I thought he was pretty average in defence as well. And I only say this because we know how damaging Stafford Toa can be. It's not too long ago that he almost single-handedly demolished the Cowboys with one of the more amazing individual performances we'll ever see. So we know he's got the ability. He just needs to put it all together. And yeah, I thought he was quite poor in this one, which is a shame. I think he's going to miss a few weeks with that injury anyway. So maybe when he comes back, put him in New South Wales Cup, get that confidence back. But yeah, not the best game from Toa. Meanwhile, Jaden Sullivan, he looked completely lost out there. He didn't give the Tigers any direction. He just left Lockie Galvin out there to dry. He really did. It seemed like he didn't want to be there. He was just a bystander on the field. There was a few moments that really caught my eye in this performance that left me really, really concerned in him. One of those being when he just completely clocked off in defense and let Xavier Savage race away on the short side for a try. And then there was another time where he was past the ball in an attacking structure and he just pulled his hands away and let the ball go past him and hit the deck and bounce anywhere. I can't remember if they got the ball back or whatever, but yeah, just saw the defense coming, got scared, pulled the hands away, and you can't be doing that as a half. Maybe it's a poor pass, you just grab that and you take that contact, and it's tough luck, but you cannot just be letting the ball hit the ground. So yeah, really disappointing. I was just he's come to this club for a fresh start. He had the opportunity to really prove himself and lock down that halfback position. So I was hoping he'd just sort of take the game by the scruff of the neck. And he just didn't. And yeah, I was really, really disappointed in how he handled himself in this one. I said in my preview for the game that I would have started Aiden Caesar over him. And now I think there's no question that that's the route that they have to take next week. I don't know if you play Sullivan off the bench or if you put him in a reserve grade to gain some confidence. But yeah, I don't think he can stay in that position with the way he played. It was really, really poor. And yeah, just I want to harp on about bad performances. I really don't. I'm here to support players, and I like Jaden Sullivan. He's got a lot of ability, and I really wanted to see him. As I said, I wanted to see him come out and play well. But we've got to call players out here and there, and yeah, did not think he played very well in this one. But we won't spend too much longer on that one. Disappointing result for the Tigers, but you move on to next week. It was round one. Well, technically, yeah, it's round one for them. So yeah, the improvements have to be made, but we'll move on to the next game of the round, which of course was the Cowboys and the Knights. This one ending 21-20 in favour of the North Queensland Cowboys. Look, what another cracker of a game of footy, let's be honest. Looked like bloody beautiful conditions over there in North Queensland. So if you ended up making the trip to watch this game, then you would not have been disappointed. Maybe in the result if you're a Knights fan, but as a Cowboys fan, you'd definitely be happy with that win. They were really, really strong defensively early, absorbed a lot of pressure. It was just silly errors that kept bringing the Knights back into their half, but I thought they were probably the better team when they had those opportunities and they weren't just being a bit... If they weren't shooting themselves in the foot, then they were the better team. They were their own worst enemy at times there for a while, but hey, they ended up getting the win and they showed a lot of resilience in defence, so you've got to be pretty happy with that result as a Cowboys fan. If we get into the standout performers for the Cowboys, honestly, I thought probably their best player when he was on the field was Griffin Neame. I thought he was just running so powerfully through the middle, and he really swung the momentum back for the Cowboys whenever he was actually out there. He got through a 33-minute stint here, and honestly, I was just sitting there for the rest of the game, just sit there waiting for him to come back on because I thought they needed him, and he never did. So I thought it was a pretty strange coaching decision from Todd Payton there. But look, they got the job done regardless, so you can't be too critical of that. But yeah, Griffin Neame thought he was really, really good. First game, 11 runs for 86 metres in only 33 minutes. Just, yeah, really, really had some powerful hit-ups through there. Found his front a lot. Quick play of the balls. Good stuff from Griffin Neame. I thought both of the Cowboys halves, I thought they both had really, really strong games as well. If you minus the two sort of cardinal sins from Townsend when he failed to find touch on two separate occasions when, kicking for the sideline, then I thought he was almost flawless. You could argue, he would have found touch on both of those occasions if it wasn't for spectacular efforts of Ponga and Tom Jenkins to leap out of the field of play and bat them back in. But regardless, the stats don't read it that way. They're two errors in my books. But no, I thought they both played really well, Dearden and Townsend. I thought they found that perfect balance of running the ball and passing or kicking. And just, yeah, they looked really, really dangerous. They both scored tries as well, so that backs up their efforts. And Townsend, of course, also came up with the try assist for Jeremiah Nanai to bring them back into the game. It could have been a game-winning try assist if Valentine Holmes converted, but it didn't matter because it gave him another chance to prove himself when he kicked the field goal in extra time to win the game for the Cowboys. So you can't get much better than that from their two halves. I'm sure Cowboys fans will be really impressed with their performances. Who else? Cowboys. Scott Drinkwater, thought he was really great for him as well. Had a lot of touches, lots of runs, just wanted to be involved all game, which is what you want to see from your star player and your star fullback. Finished the game with 23 runs, 192 metres, couple of offloads, 4 tackle breaks, line break assist, try assist to Kyle Felt, who actually, with that try, I believe, also equaled Matt Bowen's try-scoring record for the Cowboys. So brings it up to 130 for Kyle Felt, equal first now in Cowboys try scorers history, which you'd assume he'll break in the coming week or two. So, yeah, really, really good achievement for Kyle Felt there. Shout out to him. But, mainly on Scott Drinkwater. Had a really good game there. Finifuiaki, or Kulikefu Finifuiaki. Let's give him the full name without trying to butcher it, which I always will. But Kulikefu Finifuiaki, thought he was really, really good for the Cowboys. Hylam Lukey, unfortunately, was ruled out after about 25, 27 minutes, something like that. Had an ankle injury. Looks like he's going to miss an extended period for the Cowboys now as well. So it's definitely not the news you want to hear as a Cowboys fan, but when you've got a player like Finifuiaki in your squad, you're pretty equipped to cover that position because he was really, really damaging in this one. Just runs the ball with so much vigor. Finished with 117 metres of his own, couple of tackle breaks, and 100% tackle efficiency. So really good game from him. He's also going to be a bit of a keen watch in Supercoach now as well. So, yeah, I'm going to keep a close eye on him. Might give him one more week before I bring him into this team, or potentially bring him into my team, I suppose. If we want to go into poor performances as well for the Cowboys, I thought Valentine Holmes had one of his poorer games of his NRL career. Just made so many poor errors, really, really poor errors. And then backing that up, he missed 3 relatively simple, relatively easy shots at goal, which any one of them, if he converts, would have won them the game on multiple occasions. So he's very lucky that the Cowboys got the win, because I'm sure he would have come under a lot of fire for his performance in this one if they didn't end up getting the win. He wasn't like really, really bad. He still had a few moments in attack and he had a few damaging runs, but you can't excuse the errors. They were really poor. And as I said, those goal kicks, any one of them win the game. And if they ended up losing it, and yeah, you want to blame him, I actually wouldn't have blamed you for it. But yeah, definitely not his best performance, Valentine Holmes. Moving on to the Knights. Sorry, I'm speed running this one. It's an hour and 7 minutes of recording already, and I'm only halfway through. But yeah, as for the Knights, I thought they had a much improved performance from last week. I still think they lacked a lot of polish in attack, but you know, their forward pack stood up, which is what I really wanted to see from them. I thought they were really poor in that round 1 clash. So to see them step up in a big way here is really good for them. I thought Leo Thompson in particular for the Knights was outstanding, especially early into the game. He was just taking multiple carries a set and really bending the Cowboys' defensive line with his runs. Ended up playing 60 big old minutes in the middle, so good effort there. 135 run meters and 37 tackles as well. So, yeah, really liked the performance of Leo Thompson in this one. I thought Kalen Ponga, the captain, I think he is the captain now, isn't he? But yeah, he looked good again. You know, minus that pretty soft error, which gave the Cowboys the chance to level up the game late, which, you know, definitely was quite unfortunate. But, yeah, I thought he looked pretty good beyond that. Also was taking a lot of runs, essentially what I was saying about Scotty Drinkwater. Just wanted to get involved, taking a lot of runs. He got very, very close to slicing through on multiple occasions as well. So I thought Kalen Ponga looked pretty darn good in this one. He's looked a lot better than he has in previous years. Obviously won the Dally M last year, but I think just in his confidence now, you can see it's sky high and he's playing really, really well. So he'll come up with a lot more attacking opportunities in weeks to come. I thought Bradman Best, thought he was really good in defence. I noticed a lot of his tackles just reads as well, just racing up out of the line. He rarely made a bad decision there. So I was really impressed with how Bradman defended. I think he chalked up 100 metres of his own as well. So good game from Bradman Best. But yeah, by far the standout in this game for the Knights, Adam Elliott. He had, I want to say it's the best game of his career. If not, it's right up there. He was just giving it to the Cowboys forwards the entire game in attack and defense, just absolutely belting them. Played 70 minutes of this tough game through the middle, 144 metres from 16 carries, 2 line breaks, 3 tackle breaks, 44 tackles and 0 misses, and scored 2 of the team's 3 tries. You cannot get much better than that. That is a fucking fantastic knock. So yeah, big shout out to Adam Elliott. I think he's going to end up knocking off all the other lock forwards that I've mentioned in this podcast, because that is a bloody good knock. I think he might get the team of the week lock position for my post on Instagram this week, but I guess you guys will have to wait and see that one once this podcast is completed. But again, we'll mention another, unfortunately, not so standout performance, but I thought Tyson Gamble was pretty darn poor again for the Knights. He just had a fair few errors and a lot of poor last tackle options. Admittedly, he did come up with some really good moments in defence. There was one in particular where he belted Finafiliaki and caused him to lose the ball, which I love from Tyson Gamble. He's always had that grit. If he makes an error, he's going to try and make up for it. I do love that about him as a player. But yeah, unfortunately was not his best game at all. Yeah, the last tackle options and the errors were just really, really hard to ignore. You know, calls have been pretty loud, especially from Knights fans in particular, seeing their the Knights sort of fan pages. I live in Newcastle, so I'm involved in them regardless of whether or not I support the Knights. But yeah, calls have been pretty loud for him to get dropped and get replaced by Jack Cogger, and I don't know, it could be happening, especially, you know, Brayley's return is not far off. They're even suspecting potentially back this week for the Knights, and if that's the case, it might just force Adam O'Brien's hand to maybe drop Gamble to reserve grade. Cogger moves up from the bench to 5/8, but we'll have to see. As I said, I'd still like to give him a week or two to prove himself based on what he did last year. He's a good player, Tyson Gamble. Again, I'm not sitting here trying to bag him. I like Tyson Gamble. But yeah, just not his best game from this one, and we'll have to see what the Knights end up choosing to do with their halves options. But yeah, that sort of, wraps it up for this one. I know it was a bit quicker of a a bit quicker of a review compared to the other ones. So we'll go into the next game of the round, which of course was the Storm and the Warriors. This one ending 30-26 to the Melbourne Storm. Look, this one hurt. It did. I thought we had it wrapped up. I was so certain we had this game in the bag as a Warriors supporter, but you can never count out the Melbourne Storm. So, yeah, tough old game to watch, tough old game to be a fan of the Warriors. But honestly, let's jump right into the big talking point out of this game. That Xavier Coates try, it could go down in history as one of the best tries ever, like one of the greatest tries of all time. As much as it broke my heart, it was magical. If you guys didn't catch it live and you haven't seen any replays, I don't know what you're doing, but go back and watch that one. Do yourselves a favor. It's unbelievable, like nothing I've ever seen. So, yeah, go find that one. I think this game in general, I think it'll go down as a bit of a classic. I don't know if the entire thing will be remembered for years on years, but it was a really, really good game. And when you've got an ending like that, it's going to elevate it a bit more in standard. But yeah, really high quality game from start to finish. And that ending was the icing on the cake. If you're a Storm supporter, if you're a Warriors fan like me, not so much. But yeah, as a Warriors fan, I thought we did perform really, really well. It's never easy to win against Melbourne, especially not when they're at home. But I thought for 77 minutes of the contest, we were the better side. We won the battle through the middle. I thought we defended really well for the majority of the contest, if not for 2 identical tries to Pappenhausen off inside balls. And of course the undefendable try from Xavier Coates. I reckon we would have been in great stead in this one. But the reality is you can't speak on ifs in sport. You can't sit here and go, if they didn't score that or if they didn't do that, we win the game. Because the reality is the Storm did score those tries and they did get the win. So it is what it is, really. But I'm still definitely not worried about us this season. I'm seeing a lot of really good signs in our team. Without half of our starting spine in this one, obviously no Wade Egan and no Charles Nickel-Klukstad, and we came up against one of the best teams in the competition at their home ground. So, as I said, really, really liking what I'm seeing from us, and I'm still very hopeful about our season. But moving into some of the standouts, really liked what I saw from Taine Tuopiki in this one. I thought he was terrific last week as well, but I've, seen a few people on social media and Warriors fan pages and whatnot sort of really ridiculing him a bit is it's a better sentence, that one. Yes, a few people sort of getting under his skin and just saying he's not really what we need. He's not great. Put Roger back there. Which I was really shocked at because I thought he was good last week. But regardless, he was really, really good in this one. His work to get out of the in-goal early in the game was pretty bloody mesmerising. If you didn't see that, he just beat 3 or 4 Storm defenders stepping in the in-goal to get out, which is really, really good. He played his part really beautifully in the lead-up to the opening try to Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. So that's always a good one to see. He just showed great patience to draw in the defence before releasing the final ball. And, as a rookie, it's pretty easy to get those areas wrong. You've got a 2-on-1. You might overthink it. You don't know what you're meant to do. But he played his hand really, really well there. He also finished up with 180 metres from the back, 128 of those being purely on the back of kick returns as well. Had a line break, try assist, 4 tackle breaks. Thought he had a really good game. Did Tuopiki. Look, I mentioned him last week, but boy, oh boy, Rocco Berry, he's found his place in first grade. He's found his place in this side. Coming into the season, I was really excited to see Ali Leatawa get his shot in the side. We got to see him for 1 or 2 games for the Warriors last year. I thought he was really, really good. Loved what I saw from him in the trials, and I've just always really liked him coming through the juniors as well. And I thought at one stage when he got his shot this year, he would just grab hold of that centre position and he wouldn't lose it. But now I genuinely don't see a world where Berry loses that position, and I don't think he's overtaking Roger on the other side of the field as well. So, really love what I'm seeing from Rocco Berry. He's quickly developed into one of the better defensive centres in the league, which is, the hardest thing for a centre. I think centre is one of the hardest positions on the field to defend in. So if you're knocking that up, then you're doing really, really well for yourself. But also his combination of speed, size, footwork, he's got it all. He's really, really good. It makes him a bit of a nightmare to defend as an opposing centre. And it also comes up with, really good hands to put Dallin over for the second try, for Dallin's second try of the game as well. So really, really liking what I'm seeing from Rocco Berry. I'll be honest, I didn't know if Rocco Berry had it in him. Coming into the grades, I was a bit like, I don't see as much as what other people have always seen in Rocco Berry. But I'm happy to eat my own words because he's been fantastic for us to start this season. And I thought he was good for us last year. So shout out Rocco Berry. Speaking of Dallin, thought he was really good again. He scored a double, which is, just becoming almost industry standard for him at this club. But it's his runs out of his own end that I reckon they've become just as, if not more important for us as a club. Finished the game with 19 runs for 196 metres, 3 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 2 tries. Just, incredible stuff from Dallin. Love having him in our team. AFB, once again, great performance. Just so consistent now, isn't he? 155 metres from only 14 carries, a couple of offloads, and just really troubled the Storm all night, especially with those offloads. Those really had them on the back foot. and we looked really good off them. He also came up with 21 tackles for 0 miss, so perfect in defense as well. I'm so devastated we're losing him at the end of the year. I don't know how we're going to replace him. Tohu Harris, once again, mighty shift from him, 154 metres, 29 tackles, just the epitome of consistency. Thought Jackson Ford had a much improved game from last week as well. Ran some really great lines in attack, which led to him chalking up 6 tackle breaks of his own as well as a try. But it was the 0 errors from him that I was really, really impressed with. Sort of something that we need to see from him. So really good for him to back up his performance last week with a much better one here, much improved game from him. And lastly for the Wars, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. He was great. He had a hand in so many of our attacking raids. Had 135 metres from only 11 runs. Had a line break, try assist, 6 tackle breaks. He's exactly the sort of player we've been missing ever since he left, really. I love him. Great game from him. But moving on to the Melbourne Storm. Obviously, look, I've already wrapped them pretty extensively, but they were fantastic. Let's say it one more time. They just stayed in the fight all game and they never gave up. Everyone there, including myself, we thought the game was done. But yeah, they didn't. They were the only ones who actually believed that they could still win this game. And they came out and did just that with some magic at the death. So yeah, it's just another example of why we should never doubt the best. Let's never doubt the Melbourne Storm, and let's never doubt the master coach of Craig Bellamy, because this is what happens. They're up there with the best. They really are. In terms of their standouts, thought Jerome Hughes was absolutely tremendous for them. He's a bloke I mentioned in the preview for this game that I was really excited to watch, and yeah, showed exactly why. Just stood up in Cameron Munster's absence, really took over with his running game and footwork, as evidenced in his lead-up work in the Nick Meaney try, where he took off, cut the Warriors to absolute ribbons through the middle, and yeah, just linked up with Meaney, who showed incredible speed to sprint away and score and escape the ankle tap of Roger. But yeah, he also came up with the kick for Will Warbrick for the opening try of the game as well for them. So got himself in just a number of different ways, got himself involved in a number of different waves, which is really what you want to see from him. But yeah, definitely his running game I was most impressed with. It's the best aspect of his style of play, and when he's on, he's bloody on. Before we move on, also had that try saver on Marcelo Montoya, which I just saw on the NRL that got voted tackle of the week or something. Yeah. If you didn't see that one, it's one of the best try savers you'll see. And look, if he doesn't make that try saver, the game probably goes a completely different direction. So yeah, coming up with big plays on both sides of the park. I said it about Hines earlier. I'll say it here. That's exactly what you want from your superstars. So great game from Jerome Hughes. I thought Ryan Pappenhausen, he looked really confident out there. He really did. It's obvious that he'd have a few nerves coming back from, his lengthy injury spells, but he just looked so good in this one. He was moving so well, taking lots of runs, coming up with offloads. And of course, he got himself back on the score sheet with his first and second tries of 2024. I said a bit earlier, they were essentially carbon copies of each other, just taking an inside ball off each of his second rowers, just, different sides of the field, one off Joe Chan and one off Eliesa Katoa. But hey, he scored off both of them and just let his speed do the talking, caught that ball and just took off. But yeah, love seeing that. It's just really good that we have him back playing footy and back playing so well. I love Ryan Pappenhausen. We've been worse off as a game when he's been out. So yeah, good seeing that. But his stat line for the game was pretty bloody impressive. Look, we had 16 runs from Pappy, 162 run meters, 2 line breaks, 2 line break assists, 8 tackle breaks, which we've seen a few times, but yeah, incredible stuff. 4 offloads, which is that's bloody incredible as well. One of those led to the Nick Meaney try where Jerome Hughes caught it off the back of it and took off as well. So they were important offloads. They weren't just there for the hell of it. And yeah, he scored the double of tries as well. So just really good having him back playing footy like this. Love what I see from Pappy. Thought Jonah Pezzett, thought he had another really good game for the Storm as well. He's another who's sort of settling into first grade really, really well all of a sudden. Not someone who'd really, show up in the stats department. Like, if you look at his game just purely based on stats, you're not going to find too much there. But he just played his hand to perfection in their attacking shapes. He was digging into the line really well, had a really good kicking game, just everything you want to see from a half in the NRL, especially a young half. So really good stuff from Jonah Pezzett. And lastly, for the Storm, thought Trent Loiero had a really good game as well. He's just warming into that lock role so well. Very much a Craig Bellamy sort of mould of a player. I see him becoming a bit of a stalwart for that Melbourne Storm team. Finished with the most metres in the Storm forward pack with 142, and actually second to only Pappy for metres across their entire team. Defended really, really well all game, and he played 70 minutes for them in the game as well. So really good to see that he's still able to play those big minutes now that he's in the middle of the field. But honestly, that's about it for this one. I've said a lot more than I should for most. But yeah, one of the best games you'll see. Do yourself a favour, go back and watch this one. Can't spend too much longer on it without crying though. So we will move on to the next game, which of course was the Manly Seagulls and the Sydney Roosters. This one ending 21-14 in favour of the Seagulls. Far out where we actually spoilt this round. The more I look at it, the more I actually see these games. We had some bloody cracking games of footy in round two. And yeah, this one definitely no exception to that. Thought Manly, they look the real deal this year, don't they? I didn't expect them to win this one. I didn't have them, getting blown off the park by the Roosters, but I thought the Roosters would come away with the win. I thought Manly were beneficiaries of versing what looks to be a pretty poor Rabbitohs side. I'm pretty worried about this Rabbitohs side, to be honest. But last week in Vegas, I thought the Seagulls were the beneficiaries of coming up against that Rabbitohs team, while the Roosters came out and absolutely smashed the Broncos, which was no easy feat. So I had them winning this one coming into it, and that wasn't the case. Manly were really bloody good. So yeah, shout out to them. We're going to start with the Roosters, like standout performers in this one, however, with the first one of those being Satili Tupanua. I thought he had a really, really good game. Admittedly, he only actually ran the ball 3 times for 32 metres, which, looking at that, that's really not good enough, to be honest. But the way he defended, I thought he was hitting bloody hard in defence. There's not a tackle he made, not one I can recall at least, that I didn't see him just belting the bloke. So, yeah, I thought he was really, really good defensively. And he did come up with those soft hands to put James Tedesco over for a try as well. So I thought he was good in those fronts. But, yeah, I suppose looking at those runs just now in the stats department, not the best stat there. But, hey, I think he did enough in the other aspects of his game that to say he had a good game in this one. For the Roosters as well, I thought both of their starting props were incredible. Lindsay Collins played the opening 29 minutes or so before he got his first break, and he was just everywhere in attack and defence, as he always is. The plays that Lindsay Collins makes, a lot of the time they just go unnoticed. I don't know how he can get through the work he does and then come up with plays like just collecting kicks from hard positions and just making it look easy. He's just a gun. Meanwhile, his prop partner, Terrell May, he ended up starting in this one in case you didn't notice. So Jared Warrior-Hargraves, who was named at 8, ended up starting off the bench. But yeah, Terrell May ended up starting, played really, really good. Played the entire first half, by the way. Got through 40 minutes in a row. And yeah, ended up playing 57 minutes in total, 111 metres, 2 offloads, 37 tackles with only 1 miss. He genuinely has the potential to be one of the best front rowers in our game, does Terrell May. He's getting better and better, and I think the Bulldogs would be crazy not to throw a lot of money at him, especially because he's already come out and stated that... Sorry, excuse me, I'm struggling here. Yeah, but he's come out and stated that he'd go anywhere if he can play with his brothers. Now, I know Bulldogs probably don't need someone like Tyrone May, because that's another utility that they don't need. But you could go a lot worse than having Taylor May and Terrell May. So, I don't know, I'd be looking to throw some cash at them and maybe let some other players in your team go. But regardless, Terrell May, really, really good performance. And yeah, Lindsay Collins, I thought he was really good, especially early as well for the Roosters. Of course, I thought the best player for the Roosters in this one, and one of the best players of the entire round, was James Tedesco, their captain, their fullback. Just the best. He really is. I'm loving him even more because I've chosen him in Supercoach, and he's going better than every other fullback in the NRL, so that's really good to see. But he finished this game with 16 runs, 180 metres, line break, 3 line break assists, 2 try assists, 3 tackle breaks, a try. Just the best. He was genuinely he was everywhere on the field. You couldn't see a moment where the Roosters weren't just attacking or doing anything through James Tedesco. In fact, the fact he only had 16 runs, I think that's crazy. I could have sworn he would have had about 30. I just saw him everywhere. So fantastic game from James Tedesco. I know he's got his critics out there, but I don't think people can fault the way he started this 2024 season. He has been probably the best fullback consistently across the first 2 games. So yeah, love that from the Roosters and love that from Teddy. Unfortunately, there actually weren't too many other standout performers for the Roosters. Not that anybody played, really, really poorly, but they were just shut down really well in this one. I thought, Daniel Tupou was good, had a lot of runs out of his own end, as he always does, and Dominic Young in his first game for the Roosters raced away to score another length of the field try. So that was cool. You can't really fault the wingers, but yeah, not too many other people stood out. I think their forward pack surprisingly got beaten across the park by the Seagulls in this one, which is really weird because you come into this season, you're sitting there going, the Roosters have one of the best forward packs in the entire competition, and a lot of people would have said that the Seagulls were quite light on. But yeah, unfortunately wasn't too many other standout performers, as I said, for the Roosters. Again, not saying that they played bad. They still played good across the park, and a lot of the time, if you're not having standout performances, that doesn't mean, you're playing bad. It just means that you're playing across the park. You're playing with your entire team's width. You're playing to all of their best qualities. So I thought they were actually still pretty good in this game. They just, ran into a red-hot Manly side, which is going to be the segue into that team. But yeah, for the Manly Seagulls, let's start with their fullback, Tom Trbojevic. He's a gun as well. He didn't quite come up with the stats of James Tedesco. No tries, no line break assists, no try assists, none of that. But he came up with 23 runs for 223 metres, was just constantly threatening. He also had the 6 tackle breaks and 4 offloads. So you got to love that from Turbo. He was also everywhere. I said it about Teddy, but Trbojevic, he was trying to make something happen the entire game. So he played really, really well. Moving down their team list, Tolutau Kula, he played really well. I had him, if you guys didn't follow, for one of my try scorers for this game. Didn't get up on the other legs because, of course, Seagulls won the game and I tipped Roosters, so that didn't matter. But yeah, he ended up scoring a try to this one. Ended up playing a lot of it on the wing. What happened here was it Tommy Talau had a head knock, so Kula moved to the wing to replace him for 15 minutes, and then later on in the game, Tommy Talau injured his ankle, so Kula moved back out there as well. But yeah, he played really, really well. 13 runs, 173 metres, 2 line break assist, try, and only the 1 tackle break, which is crazy. But yeah, his speed makes him so threatening. So really liked Tolutau Kula's game. I will say Tommy Talau played decently well in his time on the field as well, scored a try in his Manly debut, so good for him. Further down this team list, Luke Brooks, love him. I've always really, really liked Luke Brooks, and I've just wanted to see him achieve what he can because he's a fantastic player, and I'm so happy that he's thriving in this Manly team. Looked really, really good once again. As I said, putting him as a bit of a smoky for my Dally M 5/8 of the year. I genuinely think he could do it. He finished this game with 126 metres from 5/8, had the line break assist, try assist, yeah, he can do it all, Luke Brooks. How did he go kicking wise as well? Only the 60 kick metres, but hey, you got Daly Cherry Evans to do that. So I'm just loving his role in this Manly side. Thought he was tremendous out there. He just looks so threatening every time he pokes his nose through. Every time he runs, he's just getting through. He's just, I don't know, really impressed with how he played. Cherry Evans played well, of course, kicked the field goal as well, which I believe puts him number 1 in field goals kicked in the NRL era, which is a pretty darn cool stat. Taniela Paseka knocked out 57 meters, 57 minutes in this one, which I didn't know if he had the tank to do, and had 17 runs for 191 meters. Just absolutely decimated the Roosters forward pack. 94 of those meters were post contact as well. So really good stuff from Taniela Paseka. And his front row partner, Josh Aloiai, I thought he had one of the better games of his career, to be honest. I've always sort of liked... I liked Aloiai coming through the grades, coming through at the Tigers and stuff. But ever since he's come to Manly, I thought he's really just fallen off a bit of a cliff, and I haven't seen what I've wanted from him. But he was running really, really powerfully in this one, poked his nose through it on a couple of occasions as well. Ended up with 14 runs for 150 meters flat. Just... good run for over 10 metres, a run there. So you love to see that from Aloiai. As I said, just one of his better performances I've seen from in a long time. Hamale Olakau'atu. Yeah, look, I'm going through this entire Manly team and they're all getting mentions. Olakau'atu, he's a threat. He ended up getting a try and having it. I think he scored 2 and then they both got called back because he's just the gun. But yeah, 17 runs, 162 metres, 84 post-contact, 6 tackle breaks. Just, he's so threatening and he's just going to continue growing into one of the better, well, probably the best second rower in our league. I'm really shocked he didn't score a try in this one. And last but not least, my boy Nathan Brown. I'm going to continue to talk about Nathan Brown because I really, really like him for this Manly team. I really do. He's the perfect fit. 37 minutes for them off the bench, 16 runs in that time, 132 metres. The 1 tackle break, sure. No offloads, which is, I swear I remember him offloading, but apparently not. But yeah, Nathan Brown, as I said, I've said it time and time again, he's one of the best signings of this season, to be honest. I think he's just the perfect fit for Manly, and he just continues to prove that. Another excellent game from him. But we will wrap it up there. We're now closing in on an hour and 40 minutes recording, and I've got one game to go. But yeah, really another really good game, that one. And you'd be pretty impressed if you're a Seagulls supporter. You could be in for a good season here. If you're a Roosters supporter, I wouldn't be too disappointed in the game. They performed well. They tried till the very end, and you know that this team can knock off the best as they did last week. So definitely good things to take away from both teams as supporters and as players and coaches. So really good game, that one. But that leads us into the final game of the round, which of course was the Dolphins taking on the St. George Illawarra Dragons. The Dolphins coming away 38-0 victors of this one. This one, it was not definitely not a result I saw coming, to be honest. If you watch the preview podcast, you'd know that I tipped the Dragons. I thought they were excellent in round 1, excellent in the preseason, blah, blah, blah. I've said it a few times, but yeah, I tipped them to win this one. And even if they didn't win, I expected points. I expected it to be low scoring and gritty. Instead, the Dolphins came out and they were absolutely superb, which is great because they were not good last week. So they've come out and just, really flipped the script on that one. They were just excellent across the board. They really were. The Dragons, they started all right. They started with that passion and energy that I've really liked from them. But the Dolphins just matched it, and then they just kept it going for the rest of the game, where the Dragons just halted and fell off. So, really good game from the Dolphins here. To go from scoring, 16 points or 14 points in round 1 and leaking 43 to not leaking a single point and scoring 38 of your own. Incredible stuff. And, vice versa for the Dragons, not the best stats for them. But getting into the standout performers, we'll start with the Dragons, obviously the losing side in this one. I thought Ben Hunt, their fearless leader, thought he was really good. Well, not really good, but I thought he tried his absolute heart out all night. It's not a performance that really shows in the stats department, but if you just look at how he played, he just kept it going. He kept trying to come up with some players and just kept having a crack, which is what you want from your half, what you want from your captain and your leader. So, yeah, I thought Ben Hunt was good. If you want to be hypercritical, he had a few errors, but once again, as I said, I think they came from trying too hard rather than just being poor. So you can't fault that too much. But yeah, Ben Hunt, good stuff for the Dragons. I also thought, once again, their back five, I thought they really stood up for the Dragons in this one, particularly their wingers. Lomax continued his effort from last game. He backed it up with 27 runs in this one, which is ridiculous. Obviously topped the meter count with 185 as well. So you can't fault the way he's played to start 2024. He's been one of the best wingers in the competition so far. Well, I thought Michaeli Ravalawa, thought he was really good for the Dragons as well. He's just so good in contact, as evidenced by his 162 metres and 91 post-contact metres as well. So thought he was really great. And Sulian Bird also eclipsed 100 metres as well with 169 and 101 respectively. So, really good stuff from them and really good stuff from the Dragons back five. Of course, the one player I didn't mention from that back five, Tyrell Sloan, here he is. I thought he was the Dragons' best player in this one, which, if you didn't watch the game and you come in this, you're expecting me probably say something else. Last week I say Sloan was incredible, great game. But then Sloan, he's never been the most consistent. You expect the next week him to back it up with a poor one, but he didn't. He came in, he continued his form from last game. I thought he was, as I said, the Dragons' best in this one. With the effort that all the Dragons, like the centers and the wingers, get through, the amount of work they get through, you don't need Sloan doing all that hard work. But what you do get from Sloan is the danger, the threat. I thought he was the only Dragons player on the entire field that actually looked threatening, actually looked like he was capable of making something happen, which he did on a couple of occasions. He broke through on a couple of occasions, didn't get the chockies, dropped the ball over the line once and kicked over Hammer once, who turned around and got back to the ball, but still forced the line drop out from that. But I thought Sloan, as I said, was really threatening for the Dragons. As I said, still had a couple errors, one of which came right at that end when he dropped the ball over the line. But look, you can't really fault it. It wasn't soft errors. Sure, it's, not the best, but hey, if he didn't make that break, if he didn't solo do that in the first place, then he can't make that error. It's him that making that break and making that effort that leads to an error. I'm not faulting him. As I said, I thought he was really, really good. And with 14 runs, 128 metres, 2 line breaks and 11 tackle breaks. So, shout out Tyrell Sloan. This is the sort of performance I keep asking for. This is what I want to see from him. And I know he's got it in him. So, really, really liking how he's played for the Dragons to start the season. Unfortunately, though, that's about it. That's about it for the Dragons. There were no standout performers for them. When you lose 38-0, it's pretty hard to, give a lot of your team raps. And that's just how it went with this one. I thought their forward pack were really poor. They just got blown off the park by the Dolphins, which is pretty darn shocking because I thought last week the Dragons forward pack was the best part about their game. And anyway, poor showing from the Dragons. So we'll move on to the Dolphins. But honestly, this whole Dolphins team was just fantastic. I'm definitely going to miss a few standout performances in this sort of chat. But literally every player does deserve a shout out, so that's me doing it. If I don't say your name from the Dolphins, you have been shouted out right now. You played well. But no, let's go straight to the star of the show for the Dolphins, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. Got exactly what I asked for in my preview podcast for this game, and that was to see the Hammer in open space and to see him and Sloan in a foot race as well. I got both of those things, so really grateful, really exciting to see that sort of stuff. He went from one of his poorer performances, probably poorer games since joining the Broncos, since joining the Dolphins, to arguably his best game in the NRL, period. I thought he was so good. In a week with so many standout performers in that fullback position, it's definitely no mean feat for him to make his way into my team of the week. But spoiler alert, he's one that definitely will be featuring there when I do that post. He was just, incredible. It was impossible to leave him out after this game. I'm just going to list off his stats here real quick. 16 runs, 209 metres, 1 line break, 4 tackle breaks, 3 tries. What can you say, really? Incredible stuff. It's his first hat-trick in the NRL, I believe they said as well, so Yeah, shout out to him for that. But yeah, just so electric. There's just no substitute for speed, and he's got it by the bucket load. So really good bounce back performance from the Hammer in this one. Outstanding stuff. I also thought, I loved what I saw from Isaiah Katoa in this one, to be honest. A player that I wasn't going to speak on too much, but I thought he should have been there from round one, to be fair. I'm just glad it didn't take him too much longer to force his way back into this side, because they just looked so much more fluent with him steering the ship. Everything was run a lot more smoothly and at a lot better of a pace. And yeah, the results speak for themselves with this performance. So yeah, looked very comfortable out there, did Isaiah Katoa. Picked his moments to inject himself really well. I also thought he was pretty darn good defensively, which has always been a bit of a question mark for him. So really good game from Katoa. I enjoyed the winger duels on both edges. I thought they were really entertaining. The battle between the rangy wingers of Bostock and Lomax was a treat, and they both had really good games, while the battle of Ravalawa's power to Isako's finesse was also really fun to watch as well. Bostock especially, I thought he looked a lot more confident in this game than he did in the last. He increased his workload a lot, which is really good to see. Meanwhile, Isako looked really threatening across the board. He had that fantastic try where he leapt over Ravalawa to score off a kick. So really good stuff from them. These are the exact performances you want to see from your wingers. So I'm sure Wayne is really happy with how these guys played, and let's hope they just continue to do it consistently for the season, especially if you're a Dolphins fan. But look, the real reason the Dolphins, they got away with this performance is because of their forward pack. I think they simply dominated the Dragons across the park in attack and defense. Only 2 players in their entire forward pack didn't run for 100 meters or 100 or more meters. Those being Jesse Bromwich and Jared Wallace, who still managed 96 metres and 85 metres respectively, so not far off at all. But Flegler showed exactly why Wade Bennett wanted him for this club. He ran for 145 metres, missing 0 tackles as well. And he freed up the arm for a couple of offloads, which the Dolphins were able to capitalise on. Meanwhile, I thought the edges of Felice Kafusi and Ewan Aitken were faultless. They were, the old reliables there. Completely shut down the Dragons' attacking raids, and they really gave the dynamic edges of Sua, Leilua, and RFM absolutely no space. So they were really, really good defensively. I think a big contributor as to how they were able to swamp the Dragons all game was because of the Dolphins bench in this one as well. Somehow they lost 0 punch when their starters left the field, and you could argue they even got better, to be honest. Josh Kerr, he brought so much energy off the bench once again. He did so last week. It was really good last week. But yeah, he accumulated 159 metres in his 46 minutes of game time, while the GOAT, Mark Nichols, scored yet another try in Dolphins colours to go along with his 114 metres and 5 tackle breaks as well. So, yeah, just incredible stuff for them. And lastly, for the Dolphins, I want to shout out Max Plath. Played 54 minutes in this game as a lock forward, despite primarily being a half throughout all of his juniors. But yeah, I thought he was excellent. Played so tough. Ran for 109 metres against, this incredible Dragons, big Dragons forward pack. He made 38 tackles as well without a single miss. For a small player battling through that middle, that's a champion effort. It really is. So, yeah, just the sort of player you have to admire. He's a bloody good footballer. Proved that and then some in this game. So, yeah, good stuff from Max Plath. But yeah, just as I said, every Dolphins player played really, really well in this game. Avarillo scored a try in his club debut. Farnworth was excellent on both sides of the ball all game. JMK scored a nice try from a dummy half. He also, to go along with one of the better Falcons you've ever seen. If you haven't seen that one, go back and watch that. Copped a good old ball to the melon. But yeah, just a fantastic game all around from the Dolphins in this one. And it's a really good way for them to kickstart their 2024 campaign, if you will. So yeah, loved what I saw from them. But yeah, that'll have to wrap us up for now. We're just shy of an hour and 50 minutes. This has been a tough old gig to get through, but if you have made it all this way, thank you guys very much for listening. I've teased it a few times, but I'm I've got a schedule for the Instagram content, so we'll be getting a lot more consistent into that. So if you want to engage with that, please do follow the Instagram at Chip and Chase Podcast. As I said, one of those contents will just be looking at my standout performance, my team of the week each week. So if you want to see that, that's the place to do it. So yeah, give me a follow on there. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this one, and I will see you guys next time.